Hi, everyone. This is Kenya. I am the creator of all things Loop. And as you should know by now, Loop stands for Live It, Own It, Obtain It on Purpose. And we are still celebrating and continuing the celebration of 28 days of Black excellence. And I am so excited about this day. I believe this is like day number 6 or 7, but whatever day it is, we're still continuing. And today we have Miss Jasmine Baker. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I told you, I thought we was gonna have a baby session up in here
Right.
today. But thank God we don't. So we can, talk freely and just really get to know who you are. So basically let's start off with how did you get started in your industry?
So I got started not because I wanted to. That's
Yeah.
kind of happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I experienced grief in 2012 for the first time. Well, not for the first time, but as far as death in
Mm-hmm.
2012. And then after I kind of fumbled my way through it because I didn't have anybody to talk to, didn't know what I was doing. Um,
Yeah.
once I finally got on the other side of it, then people started asking me, "Well, how did you do it? What did you do?" This and the third. And 2020 was when God was finally like, "Yeah, this is a business," and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm good." And he's like, "Nah, sis, for real."
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we got into it. It's not anything I sought out. It really just kind of I fell into it.
And when you say that you are a grief coach, what does that actually mean?
So grief is something that we don't talk about. Church people don't talk
Yeah.
about it. Black people don't talk about it. We just don't. Which
Yeah.
is kind of silly because as church people, we know that death is inevitable. Like it's just a part of life, but
Mhm.
we just don't discuss it. So what I do is I help people navigate through it, whether it's the
Mhm.
physical death of somebody losing a divorce, a job loss, a move, anything like that, any significant loss or change that you experience is something that you need to grieve. And so I give you tools on how to navigate through that, how to process through it, and how to figure out what your life looks like on the other side of it.
Why are people so not wanting to come to you for grief counseling? Like what is something that they're saying?
It's a difficult conversation,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not something that you even want to be dealing with in the first place. And then I'm
Yeah.
having to consciously make an effort to talk about something that hurts so much. It's just not something that people are like, oh, let me make my relationship better. I'm gonna go see a relationship coach, right? Or
Yeah.
let me go to a life coach or a career coach. It's not something that you actively want to discuss. So people just
Mhm.
I'd rather just pretend like it's not there and I'm okay when you're really
Yeah.
yeah.
When you really not when you walking around like, oh, okay, but
Mhm.
really about to lose your mind, smiling, but
Yeah.
about to lose your mind. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So what's your definition of Black excellence?
Black excellence to me is being a positive asset to the Black community. So it's just
Mhm.
being nice, being kind, helping people, contributing, just really being somebody, being what you needed to somebody else.
Yeah.
We don't really have that a lot,
Mhm.
especially in the Black community. Once we get there, we just like, oh, I'm there, and then that's it. But no, we got to go
That's
back
it.
and get those people who are on the same road. Like, hey, let me help you, so you're not bumping into stuff that I bumped into.
Yeah. It's so key to I was just we had an interview with Jameer just a little while ago, and one of the things that he said was that you always got to pull the other person up. And I
Yes.
think in our community sometimes we forget
Hmm. Yep.
about that other piece of pulling, the other person up, especially when we, got to a certain level,
Hmm.
even in your success or anything like that. It's so
Hmm.
important to build the other person up and then say, hey, I got to this point. Let me go ahead and, help you
Exactly.
get to that point as well. So
Mhm.
absolutely. How do you feel that you are contributing to the culture?
Um, like I said, we don't talk about it. We just
Yeah.
don't. And so I feel like just by me even being somebody who looks like us, also being the
Hmm.
person that's helping us talk about it, I feel like it's bringing some normalcy
Yeah.
around grief and loss. Because like I said, it is normal, but we act like it's not. So
Hmm.
and then oftentimes like, okay, well, even if I feel like it is normal, I gotta go find somebody who doesn't look like me
Mm.
how I process it. Well, okay, let me somebody who looks like me, who understands it, and who can help me through it. So I think that's how we get us talking about it more, is when more of us are the ones who are on this other side, like, okay, I really understand what it is that you're dealing with.
Yeah. What's your definition of living in your purpose?
Living in your purpose is doing the thing that is just naturally, it just naturally works.
Yeah.
Like for me, like I said, I didn't seek out
Yeah.
doing anything around grief, but
Yeah.
it works. It's just something that, because I didn't have to work hard for it to come to me, I think that's where I know
Mm.
it's my purpose. Because like
Yeah.
I said, people came to me, I didn't have to like find anything. It
Mhm.
just happened. So I think that's when you know that it's something that God has called you to, because you're not
Yeah.
having to figure anything out. I mean, of course, like on the other side, the business part you have to figure out, but the
Mhm.
actual work that you're doing is just something
Yeah.
that naturally comes. And then I think that's when you know that you're in your purpose.
So how do you deal with grief? Like what is maybe give me two things that you can give to our audience if they are dealing with some type of grief in
Mhm.
their life in their lives how do you deal with grief?
I think first to really acknowledge that you're dealing with it,
Yeah.
um, because you can't heal from something you're not acknowledging.
Mm.
So that's the first part, is to acknowledge it, and then the second part is understand how it's impacting your day to day.
Yeah.
That's really significant. If you're noticing that your appetite has changed, or your
Yeah.
behavior has changed, or your inner has changed, that's when you know that you need to get some help. Because for me, I'm a naturally um, upbeat person, and
Mhm.
it wasn't until my best friend at the time looked at me and she was like, "You're not the same person. You are me."
Yeah.
When I started understanding that I was mean and that I wasn't the same person,
Mhm.
I really I really need to get this together, because that's not naturally who I am. So I think when you first acknowledge it and then realize how it's impacting your day to day, I think that's really where you're going to start figuring out how to navigate through it.
And I think another thing, one of the things that you said right then that speaks out is like your best friend told you. So sometimes it's
Mhm.
the circle around you
Yep.
that can tell you like, yo, you off sis. Like
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yep.
Is it something you
She
need to
really was
talk
like, okay,
about?
yeah. She's like, I understand, but no, this is
Yeah.
not good. You're not processing this.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's so key to have that right atmosphere and the right people around you to, to speak life and then also to help you while you're going through whatever process that you are going through.
Mhm.
So, absolutely. Who have you looked up to that defines Black excellence?
That's a good question. Um, and when I saw this question, I really have been looking at it, like trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
And I don't really know if I have anybody that I've really looked up to in that regard. I don't know if that's bad, but like nobody really.
No, that's not bad.
Okay, yeah, no,
Mm,
nobody's really like come to mind.
maybe you are setting the standards for that person. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes we don't have that, and this is like the honest truth
Yeah,
about it. Like if we can't, like you can't think of anyone. So maybe you are that standard. Maybe you are the one that you are looking up to yourself because um as you can be a grief coach, that means that you have went through some type of level of
yeah,
grief,
that's true. Yeah,
and that may be your segue to be that Black excellence for yourself. We can always look up to ourselves, like, just be like, I've been through a lot, in the last couple of years. I'm really doing some things right now. You know what I'm saying? So
that's true. Yeah,
no, I don't even think it's a bad thing. Maybe you are the standard. Maybe you are Black excellence. You know what I'm saying? Like I think we can look at it in that regards as well.
I'm going to hold on to that. Yep.
Yep. What's the next steps for you in your industry? What can we look out for and how can we support you?
So next steps, I'm going to be doing more speaking. So
Mhm.
I need to keep putting myself out there because I
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
behind the scenes.
Mhm.
So just me putting myself out there more, talking about my book more,
Mhm.
um, things like that. So yeah, I think that's what I would
Oh, talk about your book right now.
say. Okay, it's actually right here.
Yay.
Okay, so this is my book. It's called Grieve, Heal, Thrive, Repeat.
Mhm.
So usually people are like, we go through the 8 stages of grief. It's kind of taken out of context. So I was sitting one day and then I was like, this is really what the cycle is. You grieve,
Yeah.
you heal, you was like, yes, okay, I'm thriving. And then that you hit that wall, you hit that wave, and then it's like, oh gosh, I have to go through it all over again. Grief is never something that you finish. You're always
Mhm.
continually in that state of
Absolutely.
grief. And so in it, I talk about my personal experience with grief, with having to change my major, with my mom dying, my granddad dying 4 months apart while I was still in school, and all of that going on, and how I didn't have anybody to talk to about it, and just how I had to find my way through it.
Mhm.
And then I talk about like what was helpful for me, like literally what I did to process through it.
Mhm.
I gave tips for that, and then on the other side, people mean well, especially
Mhm.
church people. They mean well, but they don't always say things that are helpful. And
Yeah.
so I know that I could advocate for myself as somebody that's grieving, as like, hey, sis, I know you meant well, but that's actually not helpful. I didn't know that I
Yeah.
could say that. And so knowing that I can't blame you for not knowing what to say because you weren't taught what to say. So since you
Yeah,
weren't taught what
absolutely.
to say, here is a
'Cause
resource to tell you what to say, what not to say if
yeah.
you're somebody who is grieving. Because by you saying X, Y, and Z, is you're actually hurting the person more than helping them.
Yeah,
So it's
because this just started becoming a conversation as of a couple of years ago, so yeah.
yes, yes. So it's for people who are grieving and for people who know people who are grieving but don't know how to support them.
Absolutely. So how can we follow you?
You can follow me at Jasmine CL Baker everywhere: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Jasmine Jasmine L. Baker.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jasmine. I appreciate it. If you guys could go and follow Jasmine. If you are dealing with some type of grief, definitely reach out to her. She is the grief coach. And if you need anything, I'm sure she will be very much glad to help you.
Absolutely.
If you guys have not already, go follow All Things Loop. We are still continuing our 28 days of celebrating Black excellence. Until next time.